2022 NFL Conference Championship preview. I was listening to Boomer Esiason's radio show this morning, and he was going over the topic of the location of the conference championship, conference title games, and the idea that the NFL was considering of having neutral site games, and he was fully against it. And I've talked about it already that I have nothing against the Bills, but the fact that they didn't get in was a good thing for the NFL. We don't need that. And I'm happy that we have the championship game for the AFC in Kansas City. It's a bad idea. You have the Super Bowl, that's one thing. But if you were to take away a home field game from, let's say, the number one seed, then was it really worth one home game in the playoffs? You get a bye and then you get one home game and that's it? That's not much of a reward. Now let's look at these games. We have the 49ers at the Eagles, and then the late game is the Bengals at the Chiefs. And I will spend more time covering the NFC matchup. To me, it's far more intriguing. The AFC, to me, is more of a battle of quarterbacks. You have Patrick Mahomes, who many already consider him an all-time great quarterback. I'm not quite ready to say that. I mean, he's already left his mark on the league. He, as long as he stays on this track, is headed towards the Hall of Fame. He has led the Chiefs now to 5 consecutive conference championship games. He's never played a road playoff game, which is extraordinary. You have him, Patrick Mahomes, against Joe Burrow, who got to his first Super Bowl. They lost last year. To me, Joe Burrow is playing as well as any quarterback in the game. It's not to say that these are bad teams, the Bengals and Chiefs, because, well, they're in the championship game. They're down to the Final Four, the final 2 in their conference. Compared to the NFC teams, they're weaker. I look at the 49ers and Eagles, and these are the 2 best teams in football. They're the 2 best teams left standing. Let's start there. 49ers and Eagles. In Philadelphia, you have the 49ers, who make it to the 3rd championship game in 4 years. And then the Eagles broke through this year as the number 1 seed. So you have the number 1 seed in the NFC versus the division winner of the West, the 49ers, who have a 12-game winning streak. As a 49ers fan, this is the first time all season in any game where I'm saying we don't have the clear advantage. The 49ers are facing the Eagles, who have a roster that has equal talent, perhaps even better. Because I'm going through all these games, I'm like, well, we're better. And we have a clear advantage at skill positions, defense, and even coaching. I'm not seeing that in this game. If we were to break down all of the positions, the position comparison or battles at every position, it's very close. And both these quarterbacks are not top 10 picks. They're not quarterbacks that were expected to do anything major. They were not thought to be quarterbacks that would lead a team to a Super Bowl. Let's start with the Eagles first. The Eagles won their Super Bowl with Nick Foles. And how'd they get here? Carson Wentz was thought to be the future of the franchise, and that didn't work out. And here we have Jalen Hurts, who is arguably the most improved quarterback in the whole NFL this year. He's a true MVP candidate. We talk about mobile quarterbacks, and we get excited over mobile quarterbacks, but he is a quarterback who is the true dual threat. He throws one of the best deep balls in the whole league, but he can also run when he needs to. He can pick up the first downs. He keeps defenses honest. And what we see with both of these quarterbacks is, although their success was unexpected, they are both in terrific situations. The Eagles have the best offensive line in football. They have two true number one receivers. Dallas Goedert is, I consider him a top 5 tight end. They have a good running game. Brock Purdy, the last pick in the draft, he has not lost a game. But he has an excellent head coach as a play caller. He has Brandon Ayuk. He has one of the most versatile offensive players in the game in Deebo Samuel. George Kittle, top 3 tight end. I would say the best all-around tight end when you're considering blocking and receiving. Christian McCaffrey, and then the best left tackle in football in Trent Williams. And you don't get to see highlights very often from offensive linemen. I saw some of them last week, and he shut down Michael Parsons. It's not that they were matched up on each other the whole game, but you saw Parsons try to get around him, trying to use power, speed, spin moves. Trent Williams was ready for everything. Trent Williams is going to go down as one of the greatest top 10, maybe even a top 5 tackle of all time when it's all said and done. Because you look at the number of pass rushers there are in the league right now, there's never been more. I mean, it's a premium position. And if you can do what he does as a run blocker and a pass blocker, there's never been more asked of tackles right now, and there's never been more pressure on tackles in football history. Then let's look at on the defensive side of the ball. Great pass rushers on each side. These are the top defenses in the league. Number 1, number 2. They force turnovers. They get after the quarterback. And you have 2 complete teams. You don't get to see that very often. And even a championship, even Super Bowl, you don't get to see complete teams. So let's get down to some strategy. With the Eagles, I see them taking some shots and really challenging the 49ers secondary. Early. See if they can make some big plays, because they like to start off fast. They will try to establish the run, and we'll see how effective Jalen Hurts is with buying some time and picking up some first downs with his legs. The 49ers offense I feel it's more important for them to establish a run. Most of the running backs are somewhat banged up coming into this game, but they have a lot of running backs. What they're going to have to deal with, though, is the pressure of the Eagles. So it's going to be quick passes and establishing a run game. Try to neutralize the pass rush of the Eagles. And if I'm going to say there's a key player for the 49ers, it's George Kittle. He is the key player again this week. Because if the Eagles have a weakness on the defense, it's their linebackers. 49ers want to expose the linebackers of the Eagles. And the Eagles know that. That's why they play a 5-man front at times. Their strength is the pass rush and the depth on that defensive line. So that's it for the 49ers. Have a balanced attack, take some pressure off Purdy, and it's more about short and intermediate passes. That's not a knock on Purdy. It's, he has some limitations, but the thing about him is he goes down the field more than Garoppolo does. I mean, he does keep a defense honest. Unlike Jimmy Garoppolo, where you could stack the box against him. Defense. The Eagles, very interesting how at times they use a 5-2, not a 4-3 defense, a 5-2 defense, where they actually line up 5 defensive linemen. Because again, they know the one area they're not as strong is a linebacker. So they give you a lot of different looks. Sometimes they end up bringing up 4. Sometimes they end up bringing 5. They led the NFL in sacks this year. They will do everything they can to make Brock Purdy uncomfortable. And maybe jump some routes, force a turnover. And that was the difference in the game last week between the 49ers and Cowboys. The 49ers didn't turn the football over on offense. The Cowboys did. 49ers don't like to blitz. They usually only bring 4. And I expect that Dre Greenlaw will be used more of a spy on Jalen Hurts. A very interesting matchup is Fred Warner versus Dallas Goedert. 49ers shut tight ends down. And I have to give it up to Fred Warner. I thought he had his best game of the season, maybe the best game of his career against the Cowboys. There was the play. I mean, he had an interception. He had a tackle for loss. There's a play where he's running with CeeDee Lamb down the field. And I'm sitting there saying, I love Fred Warner, but ideally I would not want him covering the number 1 receiver in the league. But he's almost running stride for stride with CeeDee Lamb. And that tells you something about Fred Warner and how good he is. He doesn't always put up the big, gaudy, eye-popping sacks or interceptions. The guy is about as good as it gets for a modern linebacker. So keep an eye on that matchup. That's a good one. And that's what we know about the 49ers. They like to get pressure at the front 4. I don't think Nick Bosa's right. That's a concern for the 49ers. He was a monster all season. In the regular season, without a doubt, the Defensive Player of the Year. It just hasn't been right in these postseason games. And if you know anything about Bosa, is in the 2 previous playoff seasons, 19 and 21, he elevated his level, and he was even better in the playoffs than the regular season. And we haven't really seen much with the pass rush. I know so much attention's on him. It's been more his run defense that's been very good. But can the 49ers get enough pressure? Can they make Jalen Hurts uncomfortable? Is defenses around the NFL have not been able to make Jalen Hurts uncomfortable and move him off his spot. Same thing with Brock Purdy. Who's going to succeed in this game? Can the Eagles do what other teams haven't done? Can they get to Purdy with a 4 or 5 man front and force a turnover, force this rookie quarterback into mistakes? They're at home. Are they going to use that to their advantage? And are they going to be able to shut down the run game? And if we know one thing, though, the 49ers are so good at running the ball. If the Eagles have weaknesses on defense, it's a linebacker, and how well will those pass rushers do against the run? That's what the 49ers want to expose, the linebackers and the run defense of the Eagles. Can the Eagles force the turnover? I think that's what this game comes down to. We got playmakers all over the place. We have a excellent matchup, but who's the one that's going to make the mistake? Who's going to turn the football over between Purdy and Hurts? But if the 49ers get off to a slow start, like they did last week, they're going to lose the game. If they come out and play like they did last week, they will lose. The Eagles got off to such a fast start, but this is a whole nother team. I mean, the talent disparity between the 49ers and Giants, there's no comparison at all. But these are the best two teams that they have played. The 49ers are the Eagles' strongest opponent all season. The Eagles are the 49ers' strongest opponent all season. And neither of them have had a challenge like this. I expect a great game. And since I've been following the 49ers, I think this is the second hardest conference championship team that they've faced. I would say the Seahawks. The 13 Seahawks, they were the toughest, considering the defense. There's no doubt the Eagles have more on offense, but that defense as a unit was historically great. The Legion of Boom, and then having to play in Seattle. At the peak of the crowd noise during that time, there's nothing like that playing outside. I'm putting my personal feelings aside and being objective. I favor the Eagles. This can go either way, and I do expect this to be close. I say 27-24 Eagles. The Eagles present a few more problems for the 49ers than the 49ers do, I believe, for the Eagles. The 49ers do not do well against mobile quarterbacks, which for me is hard to put a finger on, but it's just a fact. They do not do well against mobile quarterbacks, the defense, as good as it is. And then the receivers, I mean, just the number of weapons. I think they are going to really challenge the 49ers secondary. Can the 49ers put pressure on the Eagles secondary to make tackles? We'll see. And I do think the home field advantage will come into play. 27-24 Eagles. Then we have the rematch of last year's championship game. And the way we're talking about this, it's about the quarterbacks, it's legacies. Can Burrow get back to the Super Bowl? That would be sweet for the for the Bengals. And for the Chiefs, can Mahomes get back to another Super Bowl? We talked about the 5 straight conference championships for the Chiefs. If Mahomes loses this game, will we begin to look at him differently? There's no criticism of Patrick Mahomes. There really isn't. I mean, think about how hard people are on Aaron Rodgers. But I want to look at Mahomes for a moment, and then we'll get to Burrow and the actual game. His first year as a starter, he throws 50 touchdowns. He's a league MVP. They lose the conference championship game. Next year, they get to the Super Bowl, and can I be honest, he really didn't have a good Super Bowl. He wins Super Bowl MVP, but he only had a good quarter, it was half of a quarter, where he led the Chiefs back from the 10-point deficit. That was not an all-time great Super Bowl. He threw multiple interceptions. And then the second Super Bowl that they go to against the Bucs, we all know, the Chiefs couldn't get in the end zone, and then last year they lose. What I really want to stop hearing with both these quarterbacks and all these quarterbacks is the Tom Brady comparisons. Just stop it. The Bleacher Report had some article or video saying, oh, is Burrow the next Brady? Stop it! 7 Super Bowls. Brady's playing in his mid-40s. Just stop the comps. Can we just appreciate people for who they are? Can we appreciate looking at other sports, LeBron James for who he is? There's no comparison. Can we do the same thing with Tom Brady? Can we just appreciate guys for who they are and, just stop comparing everyone? Because right now, no one's on the track of Tom Brady. No one. But they're very good. Okay, so for the game itself, I like the Bengals. They beat the Chiefs in the same situation last year. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season this year. I believe they're playing the better football right now as a team. Joe Burrow can go up against anybody, including a healthy Patrick Mahomes, but they do not have a healthy 100% Patrick Mahomes. And Mahomes has brought something to the league that we've never seen. His improv, his creativity, all the things. He's going to have to bring all that tomorrow and match Burrow. And I just don't see it happening. Is it true that the Bengals caught the Chiefs by surprise last year and the Chiefs were making some mental mistakes and taking some surprising risks? They did. But they beat him again this year, and there's no Tyreek Hill. I mean, the only thing you have to really worry about is, as far as playmakers go, outside Mahomes, is Kelsey. That's it. They're not the same. And the Bengals were the team that impressed me the most last week in either conference. Joe Burrow is just on. He's completely focused, and he is sharp. And they're playing with confidence. They're playing with confidence as a team. I think they're going to be able to run the ball with success, and Burrow will be able to match Mahomes, if not play better than him. And they like their weapons. They do. With Chase and Higgins. And no, they don't have any great standouts on defense, but they're playing well as a unit. I don't see this game being as close. Can the Chiefs win? Absolutely. But I like the Bengals by a touchdown. 31-24 Bengals. And with both these games, weather's not going to be a factor. Philadelphia is going to be mild. It's going to be cold in Kansas City, but no rain, no snow, either location. And then let's talk about pressure. Is there some pressure on the 49ers? Yes. You've made it to the conference championship 3 out of 4 years. You still can't get that. You haven't been able to get that 6th Super Bowl. There is pressure, but the window's open, especially with Purdy taking over as quarterback. I have no interest in seeing Trey Lance be the starter. It's a joke, the comparison between Lance and Purdy. I mean, you see the guy, he's got the height, he's got the build, he's got the athleticism. But here you have Purdy, who's polished, who has the respect of his whole team, and he's got the intangibles. He's got leadership. He has the it factor. So the window is open for the 49ers. Same with the Eagles. The window is open for them for a few years. But I'd say a little more pressure on the 49ers. In the AFC, though the Chiefs are the home team, I also say the road team. The Bengals have never won a Super Bowl. And the Chiefs, of course, they want to get back and get that second Super Bowl with this group. But the Bengals have never made it. They've lost all three Super Bowls they lost last year. They want to get back and finish the job. Oh, I'm predicting a Eagles-Bengals Super Bowl. But whatever matchup we get between these four teams, we should have a quality Super Bowl. And I'm just happy to say, too, this weekend, we have 2 championship games that we can be excited about. And they're outside, on grass, the way it should be.